First of all, Russia is at war with us already. I mean, this is something you and I have talked about before, the Russian gray zone operations. Some people call them hybrid, but constant violations of airspace, sabotage of undersea cables and pipelines, disinformation, assassinations.
So now let's look a bit more closely at the defence spending plan that we had set out for us today by the Prime Minister and by the Defence Secretary. Dan Jarvis was earlier talking about reinforcing Britain's commitment to NATO spending targets.
Our commitment to NATO is absolute. I gave my word to the Secretary-General and to all our allies that promise will be met and a credible plan will be produced to ensure that it is. We will reach 3% in the next Parliament, with funding set out at the next spending review in which defence will be the #1 priority.
The Defence Secretary speaking earlier. We're joined now by General Ben Hodges, the former Commanding General of the United States Army in Europe. Hello to you, General. Welcome.
Hello, John. Thank you.
Always welcome. Now, have you had an opportunity, I wanted, to look at this new British defence spending plan? It has, you may have noticed, it's left a number of former British service chiefs rather disappointed about the scale and the pace of spending. But I wonder what your thoughts might be.
Well, of course, I'm conscious that as an American commenting on somebody else's budget decisions, that's sensitive and it may not be welcome. But the things that I look for, of course, are emphasis on readiness. Will the British Armed Forces be ready to do their job with what they have in terms of training, ammunition, maintenance, enough people to man all the ships and formations? So that's got to be the top priority for any defense secretary. And the attention always goes to new stuff, new programs, but the first priority for me is always going to be readiness. Is enough of this budget going to go to readiness? The second thing, I think this is, it's easier for me as an outsider to say than it is for someone to actually do it, but clearly identifying the threat. And I think most taxpayers, if they believe that there really is a threat, if they believe that the civilian leadership is being straight with them, then people will pay whatever's necessary to have the right level of security, not just the security that you can afford. And so I think something more hard-hitting than NATO says 2030 for the Russian threat, I think this will be an important part of going forward.
And what sort of message, what sort of warning do you think might mobilize that reaction?
Well, I mean, first of all, Russia is at war with us already. I mean, this is something you and I have talked about before, the Russian gray zone operations. Some people call them hybrid, but, constant violations of airspace, sabotage of undersea cables and pipelines, disinformation, assassinations. I was in Salisbury just this past weekend, a reminder of what happened there. And then, of course, these Russian shadow fleet vessels that are not only carrying oil and gas to customers to help pay for their war against Ukraine, but there also are environmental disasters waiting to happen just off of Great Britain's shores. Mm-hmm. So Russia is at war now, and I think our leaders need to talk to us in that way.
Yeah, there is a clear and present threat now. I mean, do tell us, interested in your take on this, has your view of the United Kingdom as a military power and value as an ally, has that changed over time? And if so, tell us how.
Well, the respect that American intelligence professionals and American military professionals have for UK, your intelligence services, the men and women of your armed forces, it's as high as it has ever been. There is this trust and shared experiences. We always like having our British allies with us, and we want to support our British allies. And what we always worry about, of course, is capacity. Do you have enough to protect all of your strategic interests, both your own interests as a nation, a sovereign nation, but your interests abroad, and of course the NATO requirements. The U.S. Army has always counted on the British Army to provide a 3-star headquarters, a corps, the Allied Rapid Reaction Corps, and a warfighting division, for example, And of course, British soldiers are part of the U.S. Enhanced Forward Presence battle group in Poland. So these are the kind of things that we watch for. I have great confidence in capability, not as much in capacity.
Okay, interesting. President Trump, General, he's expected to berate European allies at the NATO summit in Ankara in a couple of weeks' time. Does he have a point when he criticises the slower spending members of the alliance? Because he's not the first president, of course, is he, to feel that America has been rather taken advantage of in the past?
Well, certainly he has a point there, as did all of his predecessors going back to Harry Truman. But I really wish, instead of him berating allies, I hope he will use his opportunity in Ankara next week to go ahead and take credit for everybody doing more, and don't waste time with barking at our allies. I mean, this doesn't do anything to enhance the cohesion of NATO. And frankly, even if nobody in the alliance was investing in defense as much as they should, it's still in the interest of the United States that Europe is prosperous, which means it has to be stable and secure. So yes, of course, there's an expectation that allies, especially the more wealthy allies, are able to do more for their own interests as well as the collective interest. Please don't do anything. I hope that UK is not going to do something just to please the American president. It should be all about your own interests.
All right, General Ben Hodges, the former commander of the U.S. Army in Europe. Thank you.